Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and is this you? Do you keep swapping heroes? Or hell, have you even seen people swap heroes like this every few seconds? Well, not every few seconds, that would be absolutely ludicrous. But every time they die, they swap the hero, because the reason they died must be because they had the wrong hero for the job. Don't do this, really don't do this. Now let's just rewind a second, because you know what I think? You do not have a main when you play Overwatch. You do not have a main. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. We do not have a main. Now, what I mean by that is you will have a main in the sense of you are better with a certain character, but just blindly playing the same character, regardless of the situation, is not the way to play Overwatch. You need to be able to swap. And let's be honest, the way Overwatch is designed, a lot of the heroes kind of overlap. So if you're a Genji main, well, that means you could also play Tracer. You could also probably play 76, McCree. There's a ton of different options. You could probably play Lucio as well. Anybody who relies on accuracy and has fast movement abilities, you could use Pharah. You'd be okay with her as well. A lot of the skills transfer over. It's not like you can just play Genji and that's it. Because if somebody came up to me and was like, oh yeah, I'm a Genji main, I would just kill you with Winston. Even if you were the best Genji in the world, you will not beat me on Winston. Unless for some reason I've got no health and you've just come in and picked me off or something. It's just never going to happen. What I want to do in this video though is talk about the times when you need to change your hero and sort of getting better at identifying that, because it is difficult. I can't just say to you, I give you a definitive guide, when this happens do this, when that happens do this, because it's not as simple as that. You imagine you're a Tracer and you get killed by a... Okay, let's just come up with a theoretical situation. So you're a Tracer, you're on attack on Hanamura. You come through the first point on Hanamura, a Hanzo shoots you in the head and you die. So you think, okay, I'm going to change my hero. Tracer's not working here, I got instantly killed. That would be a bad thing to do. Because think about this, you've walked into the way so Genji has shot you. You've allowed Genji to attack you from range and you've been killed at the choke point as you've come around the corner. Maybe adapt the way you play, maybe blink round to the left quick, or do some sort of rapid movement to get out of the way of the Genji. Maybe wait for... out of the Hanzo, sorry. Maybe wait for your Reinhardt, if you've got one on your team, to push forward to absorb the hits, then jump onto him. Because the Tracer will beat the Hanzo at point blank range most of the time, unless Hanzo gets lucky. Now, obviously, there's other situations as well. Like I just said about the Genji and the Winston situation. Well, imagine a Genji, a Winston and a Widowmaker situation. If there's a Widowmaker on the enemy team that's performing very well, you swap out of your hero if you're playing a Pharah, because that Widowmaker will dominate the Pharah in the air. So what you then need to do, if nobody else on your team is dealing with the Widowmaker, you need to then swap into a Winston or even another Widowmaker and try and take out the Widowmaker. That means you're effectively... Well, it's an effective change and it's positively impacting the outcome of the game. Now, when I say things like this, like your team are not helping you out, or maybe your team are not assisting you get rid of a certain hero, obviously this kind of does relate to quick play games, because that's all we've got available at the moment. Now, we're rapidly getting closer to the launch of the ranked play, which once competitive hits, I expect there to be more coordination. I expect people to be more on a level or more willing to work together. So if there is a dominating Widowmaker, maybe there'd be a quick conversation in the team. Maybe the tank could come off the Roadhog and go onto the Winston and take out the Widow. That would be a positive change. You see, like, what I'm trying to do is just give you guys, like, almost... They're not... Well, they are theoretical situations in a sense, but give you guys ideas. Almost try and give you experience through what I've experienced playing the game, without you guys having to play shitloads of games just to understand, like... when would be a good time to change. So when would I change a hero? If I was playing as Soldier 76 and I'm getting dominated pretty hard, I've been killed a few times by a Hanzo, Widowmaker's also been taking me out, I can't really get into a position to become effective. That enemy team has very good Widows, has a very good Hanzo. What do I need to do? Well, I need to pick a character which is going to work better against those characters. You see, Soldier can't instantly kill those guys, but they can instantly kill Soldier from range. I could swap to a Widow and maybe try and take them on in a ranged battle, or even a Hanzo. Or I could swap to a Genji and try and get on top of them. Or I could swap to a Winston to try and get on top of them. But maybe it's not all about killing them, because you could get a Reinhardt or even stick with a Winston and just use that to protect your team as you push onto a payload or as you push onto a point. So there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. There are obviously basic hard counters to things. So if you're playing Pharah and there's a Soldier 76 in the enemy team and he's absolutely dominating you, well, he will, because he's a hard counter to Pharah. You probably need to swap into a different hero. Same if there's a Widowmaker on the team and you're playing Pharah, the Widowmaker will annihilate you if it's a good Widow and knows what it's doing, which people will, at this point, know what they're doing. That will take you out, and that's going to make you not effective. You see, sometimes in Overwatch, you can have games where you're not actually the best player, or you're not the one with the most gold medals, or you're not the one with all of the, you know, massive multi-kills, got the play of the game or whatever. But you can do things in the game, and you will know this, ladies and gentlemen, because you've all done this. Every Overwatch player has done this, where you've made a change, you've done something. You might not have got recognition for it, but you know that that has actually caused the game to win, or caused a point to cap, or prolong the game so your team can get back to a point, force it into overtime, anything like that, something like that. I mean, an example of this I can give you is, this is a very basic time to change. If you are playing on a control point map, and you can see it's in contention, the point, it's going into overtime, but you can see it's turning into a bit of a trickle fest, so both teams are just running back to the point, trying to get there as fast as possible. Well, if you're playing Roadhog, or you're playing another slow-moving character, a Zarya maybe, why don't you swap into Tracer and rapidly move back to that point? It might give your team enough time to get back onto the point and establish themselves. That's a very simple change, and again, you will see esports players doing this. I don't necessarily think it makes for the greatest sort of esports spectacle when you see like 5 Tracers just running back to a point on, I don't know, Nepal or something like that. But think of it this way: when you're playing the game, that is a positive change, because that Roadhog you are playing with that has just been killed and respawned in the shuttle is never ever going to get back to the fight, but Tracer will. She's not a tank, but she can get to the fight and maybe do something to actually make the game last longer. So that's just one example of changing, where I'd almost say that is sort of something I would always do, regardless of what's going on, because you need the chance, right? Also, there's things like maybe you identify that it's pretty difficult for your team to sort of push through a certain point, but you could probably do it if you get Lucio and charge Lucio's ultimate, drop the beat, then your team's got the protection and can actually move forward. Things like that as well, which you kind of have to be a little bit better at identifying. Normally what happens is, actually this is kind of a pretty good thing, which you guys should really remember. When you really need to change heroes and then change the tactics as a result, is if you've attacked a point maybe twice and it's not worked, you've been totally killed, you need to think about what you're doing and how your team's going in. I understand it's going to be difficult to have amazing coordination between like pickup groups and, you know, in quick play games and stuff like that, but maybe if they've got 2 Torbjorns, why don't you get 2 Reinhardts, or maybe swap the Roadhog out to a Reinhardt, or maybe play Reinhardt yourself even if you do have a Roadhog. You see, because the turrets will be not very good against Reinhardt's shield, and the guys on your team can move up behind you and shoot the turrets. That would be a positive change. So again, let's just go back to Hanamura. Say I'm stuck on the first point on Hanamura, I can't get through the point. I'm playing Genji, I'm diving into the back line, I'm trying to do work, but it's not really working. The rest of my team are stuck at the front of the gate. We've got a Roadhog, and then we've got various other DPS characters, and maybe a Mercy or something. If I swap to a Reinhardt there, that means I can stand in the choke point and move forward. Those 2 Torbjorns, which we just spoke about, with their turrets, or, you know, any other characters that are in there, you can get into there, and as soon as you get through that choke point, then you can fan out and your team can start to do work on the enemy. That would be a positive change. And a lot of changes like this in Overwatch, where when you need to get better and you actually identify when you need to swap your hero, it doesn't actually come to skill. Like, none of this really depends on your ability with that hero. You could be the greatest Genji on the planet. However, your team cannot get through that point to support you. But if you swap to Reinhardt, suddenly you can push them through the point, and all you're doing is holding right mouse button down and moving forward. Now you might think, well, that's not skill. It really, really is skill, because this is tactical skill. It is not Twitch reaction, crazy FPS skill. This is, you have identified what's going on and you've moved forward. This is one of the brilliant things with Overwatch, because I'm getting on a bit in years, ladies and gentlemen, and there are people out there who are a lot older than me, I'll have you know. When you get older, you're not as super fast with reactions, but you become more tactically savvy. If you look at any kind of professional sport, if you look at football or soccer, for the American fans out there, that game, you will have players that are older, and they tend to have the, you would call it the defensive midfield position, or they're holding midfield players. That means they're almost standing in the centre of the pitch, and they're telling younger players, faster players, what to do. They're giving them information. You can totally do this in Overwatch. You see, because if we couldn't break that point, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to play Reinhardt, because this is tactically a better idea and my team will get through. I totally get some people will never want to play Reinhardt. They'll always want to play 76 or Hanzo or whatever. That's fine. If you want to win, and you want to make a positive change, then sometimes you've got to think to yourself, you know what, maybe if I just drop onto Reinhardt for this point, that might be a good idea. Or drop onto a Winston. I'm going to leave this video at that, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a little bit vague, but I just wanted to get some thoughts out there, some ideas out there for you guys and for me as well, because it helps me to just sit down and talk about this. Because, you know, I'm talking about it. I'm listening to myself as I'm talking about it. And hell, I watch my videos back anyway because they're so beautiful. But, like, if you've got any ideas or any experience, you can put in the comments below. Even like any kind of situations you've got in terms of like when you would swap your hero, or in fact tell me when you have changed your hero and it has positively affected the game and things have happened. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa, and I hope this video helps, giving you a little bit more information on when to actually swap hero. Please resist the urge to just constantly swap all of the time. That's not a good idea. Also, don't stick on the same hero if things are not working out. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video and then like the video, subscribe to the channel for more glorious content, and I'll catch you next time, people. Oh, you can follow me on Twitter as well, which is @UnitLostGaming. And I'll follow you next time. No, I will catch you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Toodaloo.